The interesting thing is that taxes are going
Oh, Bob would too.
for
Bob would too.
corporations employ salaried individuals and require them
Yeah.
to do the work.
You do, yeah.
Even where there's no labor contract.
Sure.
And that's what they were seeing is a stick on
you.
salary.
I'd like to call the village board meeting for the Village of Cary for Tuesday, October 20th, 2015 to order with roll call, please.
Cavelli?
Here.
Chapman?
Here.
McAlpine?
Here.
Kozler?
Here.
Dudak?
Here.
Kraus?
Here.
Thank you. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there anybody that signed in, Nancy, do you know? Now we'll move to the open forum where the public is invited to make an issue-oriented comment on any matter of public concern not otherwise on the agenda. I don't think anybody is here to sign in, so we're going to open and close it. Now would be the time.
Yeah, come on, Martha.
Okay.
Hello. Can you please stop Mario Andretti from racing down 14 between 6:13 and 6:18 every morning, except for weekends and holidays? I'm thinking he must be a teacher because he's got holidays off.
It's not you, is it?
Or works for some federal government. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the October 6, 2015 Committee of the Whole meeting.
So move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Chapman?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
McAlpine?
Yes.
Dudak?
Abstain.
Cavelli?
Yes.
Kozler?
Yes.
Thank you. We're going to punt the, our table, whatever, the October 6th board meeting minutes for some edits, recent changes. Thank you. Now, we have one proclamation this evening under my mayor's report. It's National Red Ribbon Week. Respect Yourself, Be Drug Free, October 23rd through the 31st, 2015. Whereas a Red Ribbon campaign was established to honor the memory of drug enforcement agent Enrique Kiki Camaranan, who was tortured and brutally murdered by drug traffickers in 1985 during the drug investigation. And whereas the National Family Partnership, using the death of Agent Enrique Camarera as motivation under one mission to promote healthy, drug-free youth through prevention and education, and whereas the displaying of a red ribbon is a symbol of intolerance towards the use of drugs, and whereas the mission of Red Ribbon Campaign is to present a unified and visible commitment toward the creation of a drug-free America, and whereas the Village of Cary Police Department and School Districts 26 and 155 during the week of October 23rd through the 31st acknowledge Red Ribbon Campaign and is what represents. Whereas the mayor and the board of trustees of the Village of Cary acknowledge the sacrifice made by Agent Enrique Camarera in the battle against drug trafficking and supporters of the Red Ribbon Campaign, established in his memory as a worthy endeavor to acknowledge the dangers of drug abuse and to promote the values of a drug-free community. Now, therefore, let there be resolved that I, Mark Koenig, Mayor of the Village of Cary, support the efforts of the various community coalitions promoting the values emphasized in this campaign. Furthermore, the Cary Police Department will display red ribbons on patrol vehicles to honor Agent Enrique Camarera's memory, dated this 20th day of October 2015. Thank you. And with mixed emotions, we have departure of our famed village attorney who's represented the Village of Cary for just about 13 years now. I was going to almost say, have you been here for 13 years, Rick? Close to it. I would say he's the longest man standing here right now. So that's an excellent testament to your commitment to the Village of Cary. And with that, we'd like to present you with the key to the city that says represented to Village Attorney Michael Coppage for your service and dedication to the Village of Cary from 2004 through 2015.
If I can just
Just, I'm touched by that, thank you. Obviously, the big turnout shows the support.
Yeah, join the club right there. You're watching the Cubs game.
I have,
It's not you, it's the Cubs.
I won't take it that way. I've always enjoyed representing the village, and there certainly have been challenges, and I've welcomed those challenges, and it has always been a pleasure to represent this board and the village, and I think the underlying motivation of this board and prior boards has always been the best interest of the village, and I respect that immensely, and I'm honored to have represented the board. So thank you, Mayor.
Well, thank you again. We appreciate it, and good luck being a judge.
Yes.
If I remember before you, go easy. I didn't do it.
No promises, but
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. A little levity here.
Mark, I'd just like to say that I've, had the pleasure of working with Mike the longest than anybody up here. And I really think he's been a guiding light for us from a legal perspective for all the time that I've served on the board. I appreciated his candor, his insight, always very, right up the middle, which is good, especially if you're representing the public. I also think that, had the pleasure of working with you through probably one of the most important, deals that the village has worked on in the biomaterial thing, at least in the last 15, 20 years, I would imagine, if not longer. And you were a very, very solid individual to help and guide us through what was at times a contentious situation. So from my personal perspective, I will miss working with you, and I've appreciated all the work that you've done for us, so thank you.
thank you, Rick.
All right. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items number 1 through 4.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Chapman?
Yes.
Cavelli?
Yes.
Cosler?
Yes.
Dudek?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
McAlpine?
Yes.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve ordinance 015-10-02, amending sections 10.08.380, limited load streets, and 10.26.050, oversized weight vehicles on certain streets of the Code of Ordinances of the Village of Cary.
So moved.
Second.
Hello, Chief.
This is a matter it's brought before you both by the police and public works. It's intended to identify those routes that can be used by oversized, overweight vehicles. They're particularly routed on roadways that, number one, can handle it from a physical characteristic, but also as a logical extension to either Route 14, Three Oaks Road, or Silver Lake Road. So there's a couple of additions that you've seen here. By the way, it's important to remember that we've designated the residential area streets as limited load streets, 6 tons, 12,000 pounds. And again, it's based on the environmental characteristics of those areas. So, and in fact, I believe the village clerk received an anonymous complaint about just that issue on Decker as it relates to an oversized vehicle that was parked in a driveway. So there's a couple of different changes in what we had previously designated as Class 2 truck routes. Caper Road would make leaving Sage easier for larger vehicles to get to Georgetown and then go up to the light to make a left-hand turn rather than trying to make a left-hand turn from Sage Parkway. Industrial Road, Industrial Drive, they'll be able to access Industrial Drive also from that route. And then First Street was designated as a Class 2 truck route up to Sunset, and that's been deleted because there's no need for that type of vehicle to be traveling up First Street. So with that, I'd entertain any questions or comments that you had in regards to the proposed ordinance.
Chief, the only question I have is the roads that you're talking about that will be Class 3?
Class 2.
Or Class 2, rather. Has Eric opined on any of the changes?
Absolutely. In fact, I am not as talented as he is as it relates to mapping and stuff like that, so he would be responsible for the map. And I did talk to him today as it relates to the physical characteristics and construction of those roadways. And that's what we're doing, is we're routing these vehicles down those type of roadways that can handle those loads.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Roll call, please.
Cosler,
Yes.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Duda,
Yes.
Cavelli,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution R15-10-02 to authorize the appointment of Ansel Glink, Diamond Bush, DeCanny, and Crafter PC to provide interim village attorney services.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the village board. As you directed me at October 6th committee of the whole meeting, completed a process for the selection of a firm and a recommendation to you regarding village attorney services, as was alluded to earlier this evening with the recognition for Attorney Coppage, which is well deserved. It's time to move forward with these services for our village. And as we had somewhat of ability to discuss on October 6th, it's really a multifaceted service level that is needed. In this case, general counsel services assist the village board in representation at meetings, and but also the backside of it is, and we appreciate you providing staff with solid resources. About 90% of the work is direct with staff. We have prosecution services for village cases that are normally police-oriented, sometimes code. And then from time to time, employment law type services as well. And so you asked me to complete a process that, looked at a variety of options we talked about, and I believe had some discussion about a permanent decision being made by this board down the road. So I looked at this as for more of a 6-month horizon. I looked at a variety of options, and I asked for 2 proposals from specific firms, including Ansel Glink. I believe the Ansel Glink proposal's the right one for where we're at right now. Just to highlight, and I provide in the packet, including in the packet for the public, for those who are not with us tonight. This is a multi-attorney model for us. As I mentioned, at the general counsel level, Adam Simon and Julie Tappendorf from their firm would provide most of our general services. I also, just before I come back to those two, Mr. John Christensen is proposed for prosecution services as well as administrative adjudication, which the board may recall we began to carry here a couple of years ago. And then Mr. Bob McCabe has worked with us since January 2012 on labor and employment law. And he would be remaining on our account and our work. How I see this working, probably be in somewhat evolution over time, but how I see it starting is that most likely Adam Simon will reside at your meetings from the standpoint of village attorney counsel at village board meetings. Julie Tappendorf is what I see to be the lead on the account overall, kind of coordinating services and making sure responses are timely, those sorts of things, as well as she's able to, including possibly this week, pending your approval, help us with counsel to the zoning board of zoning planning and appeals on a Thursday night schedule. So it's good to have that diversity of availability, especially on this kind of short notice. Very pleased with what I've seen of their work. We've had some transition here in the last couple of weeks. I believe they're competent, qualified. I believe their experience level by checking references is sufficient for what Cary needs. I think they'll do a good job of representing all of the elected officials upon this board. I think that's critical. As part of the concept here, I'd like to schedule with you independently at least 30-minute meetings with each of you, with Julie and or Adam, hopefully both, to meet with each of you to talk about your vision for our legal services, those kinds of things you have questions about, et cetera. I think there's some opportunities here to enhance through every change we've made. I mean, as we've had changes in public works, police, community development, and we've evolved as a village, we've had the ability to grow. And I think that this firm can help us with training and some other advice on some of the new laws that come up, Freedom of Information Act, Open Meetings Act, things change all the time. And I think they'll do a good job of helping us just get to that next level, which we keep trying to do every year. So I'm happy to answer any questions and, any other thoughts that you have on this.
Chris, does Adam, has he represented or is he representing any villages now? Do you know?
Yeah.
Is he? Okay. And there's not a conflict with the fact that the labor attorney and potentially village attorney are in the same firm?
No.
Okay.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Hang on, I just one. What about the ones names that we sent you as recommendations? Did you talk to them? Did you consider them for this interim appointment?
I've had a number of firms that I spoke with, but also some that came to me from various means, some from elected officials, some from their own approach of the village. And so we have a master list. I have all that information. Obviously, as we decide what's right for the village for the long haul, it's up to this board, the mayor and the village board. And so I have all that information. So yes, but what I'll say is that as we direct, as you directed me on October 6th, it was time to move. And I spent, my due diligence doing the research that was needed, and I believe this is the best recommendation for today.
Roll call, please.
Hey, I'm sorry, Mayor, can I interject just for a second?
Sure.
Does this need it says interim. Does there need to be a time limit on the motion or?
I understand the question. My thought was that I felt it was important to have this pass as a resolution. And interim was what I felt like I had been directed to consider. But that's up to the board. And, I had heard that there was the thought to have, some sort of process. And, you have all those calls still, regardless of what I believe that word says. So that's up to you and the board.
I think it gives us an opportunity to go through the process. We've got a list of people that have submitted packets that we will be returning when we put together our RFP. All of the people that have submitted interest in the village will be given the opportunity to submit their RFP. And as we go through that process, it could be 4 months, it could be 6 months. And we're hoping to get this done within a 6-month time period so we can move forward.
Okay.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Kraus,
Yes.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Dudek,
Yes.
Cavelli,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Counselor.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving forward to the administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple items before I ask Mr. Reif to step up and help us go through presentation. A couple of questions and then updates. First, I'll start with the Maplewood Committee meeting. We've had some discussion and had a good meeting last month, and we're slated to have the team get back together on November 4th at the Cary Junior High at 7:30 for our next committee meeting. Trustees McAlpine, Trustee Costa, and myself have been representing the village officially on that group. We have some information to bring back to them that had been requested. Director Simmons and I will be prepared to speak to those items on the 4th. It's good dialogue that continues, and we'll continue to bring you back updates as those meetings continue. That's our next one. Any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Trustee Costa or Trustee McAlpine or myself regarding that process. Next item, I passed out to you tonight, this document here, this is new this week. As you're aware, we have some property listed on Route 14 presently, and we'll take some time to sell that property, some number of months certainly. But what I'd say is that this Montessori school is now renting from District 26, the Oak Knoll School, as a tenant, and they've asked on a courtesy basis, but there's a process here at the village for the ability to put a sign such as this on Route 14 to indicate where to drive off of 14 to it. And they asked us to consider, and Jake can help me a little bit with process, but at least entertaining the discussion about would we be willing to work out a rental arrangement for a piece of that property up to, and of course not pass any kind of sale of property if that were to occur. But they asked us for what the board would think about us moving forward with that. It may require a variance or some sort of process, so Jake and I can answer any questions. It just came up this week. I wanted to get it in front of you right away. It would be, I believe it'd be a courtesy to District 26 as a tenant, but I mean, this is a tenant that pays it's up to you as to whether that's appropriate. I believe you recall we had a discussion such as this last, I believe, with the Dolce Spa on Route 14. We had some discussion about
Feinberg Court, yeah.
Feinberg Court, about a sign on village property. So there's some precedents that we can look back to. This is not a revenue, exercise for us. It's really more of a convenience for them, and just want to get your feedback. There's a process behind it, but wanted to see if this made any sense to you.
One of the things I've seen in communities all around the country is when there's something of special interest, a school, a church, a museum, is that there's a blue sign up on top of the street sign, pointing to it. What about something like that, saying Montessori School, and it's got the arrow pointing to that?
Yeah,
That's something we could certainly look at that. Right now, we do that. You've probably seen it with Trinity Oaks.
Yes, I did. It's
on 3 Oaks
The
Road.
Park District, we did for them
Yeah.
up at the corner on Briargate. We did that as well recently. I mean, that's an option. They asked for this kind of a boarded sign, but we can look at whatever options you see fit. Okay, thank you. I think
Jim?
So what you're proposing is we lease them land to actually have a big sign?
that's the concept they've asked for until such a time as, we dispose of the property or they don't have a lease.
I can't say, I would need to think about it more, but
Sure.
at this moment, I can't say I'm supportive of that.
Okay.
You
How
would
about the
have
little
to
blue
get-
sign?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
I would agree with Dave and what Jim just said.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't want any sign on 14 temporarily or permanent.
I would agree.
Okay,
I would go with like,
thank you.
good, we're picking and choosing just the winners.
Thank you very much. Wanted to ask Jacob Reif to review a service request system update that we have. We've been working, as you're aware, on rebuilding our website behind the scenes. It's a work in progress. It's coming along, but the interesting component is a project that's been on my list since I started is enhancing the centralized service request system we have for residents and creating technology that helps them to make it easy for them to tell us when we can help out. So Jake, I'm going to turn it over to you for presentation.
Thank you, Chris. And this is something that we built out on our current existing website. We will have it on our new website too. Public Works did a lot of great work on this. Eric and his staff and the leadership that Eric provided on this really helped us build this out. You'll see as I go through the slides that there are a lot of Public Works related service request tickets that are built out, and slowly we're evolving this to other departments too. So I just want to walk you through of just how this will work and how it interfaces with our existing website. This is a function that's up there right now. If you go to our existing webpage, there is a icon, a citizen request icon that folks will select. They will be taken then to a page where I was talking about previously, all those request tickets. You can see there the majority of them Public Works related. Those are the ones that people may see predominantly when they're out in the field. Stoplight out, dead tree in the parkway, things of that nature. They will select one of those. The users then will be asked to enter an email address, contact information, where they will get information then back to them regarding where the ticket is in the process, if it has been assigned to someone, if it's been closed out, what that result is.
Great.
Awesome.
I guess I should step back. The folks at our front counter then will also be able to take information down. When a call comes in, instead of transferring this call down to Public Works per se, they're able to enter the caller's information. This then immediately routes to the staff member that it's assigned to, and we're losing the putting the person on hold, transferring them to someone, that person not being there, them having to leave a message. The information is being relayed instantly to that staff member that's assigned to the trouble ticket. This is what you'll then see on the back end. There's a brief description, information such as location, who submitted the request, some contact information. There's a confirmation page then as well. The resident or whoever submits a ticket then will receive an email back just stating that we've got it, it's assigned to the appropriate staff member. The staff member also gets notice that there is a ticket in the queue. Then also, this for staff, someone like myself or another admin staff can go in and we can look at the history of these requests and track and see how long the requests have been out there, ensure that they're being closed, ensure that residents are receiving follow-up if there is any follow-up that is needed. And I guess most importantly, we're just ensuring that there is accountability for the staff and that there is follow-up here. So in summary, Public Works has been gracious to help create this slideshow here. They've showed how this impacts them directly, and that this goes from being a 5-step process of how a call was transferred previously and how it will be cut down to a 2-step process. A resident can either log in, enter the information, it goes to the appropriate staff member. If a resident does not want to log in and provide that information, they can call Village Hall. When they call Village Hall, we'll take all their information down. Immediately that is transferred to the appropriate staff member for follow-up. And that is a summary of our citizen request tracking system that we're implementing now. And also on the new website, there's going to be an icon on the front that people see vividly, and we'll continue with the same process. So right now we're kind of in the early stages here of rolling it out, but certainly they're going forward, it's going to be built out, and I think this is going to be a great tool for our citizens to utilize. Any questions that you have regarding that?
I think it's phenomenal. I really like it. I just have a question, like with the traffic complaints, like the speeding, is that something they can go on there and do right on there? Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
It's pretty much endless.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is great. I think it's absolutely.
There are a lot of people that, kind of came together with this thought, and Public Works did some heavy lifting here on this. So a lot of kudos to Public Works and Eric's staff.
I'd like to talk to you later about a little bit about terms of use and about having an opt-out button for the village newsletter. So when they register, they'd have to opt out in order to not get the village email blasts.
You're talking the Cary News Weekly email blast? Yeah, there is a way where they can be taken off the list. And we can go over that at a later time.
Sure.
I may have missed it, Jake. When did you say this was going to go on?
It's live right now. Yeah, it's live right now.
Dave, are you referring to that if when they use the system, then their email would automatically be grabbed by our email
that's why I
blast,
want- and-
but they could opt out if they want to, yeah?
Right.
Okay.
I'd like everybody to,
Yeah.
get the email, but yeah.
It's great.
It's great. Great
Okay.
job.
Great.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake. And then I'd like to indicate on the record for the board and the public and those watching us tonight, there is a appeal hearing that's scheduled for Thursday evening at the Cary Junior High at 7:30 p.m. That is scheduled. It's October 22nd at 2015. And there will be representation from the village there as well. So happy to answer any questions, but I just want to indicate for the benefit of the public that that's a public meeting that's this week, Thursday night, at the Cary Junior High, 7:30. Thank you.
I think we've gone through the department head reports. Is there any future agenda items in discussion by the village board?
Yeah, I have a couple things. I met with Chris this past week, and you brought something up about, I don't remember the exact term, but it was reference an economic board. And I was just wondering if we could bring that to committee of the whole and talk more about that as a group, because I thought it was a really good idea.
Sure. What that is, and appreciated your time speaking with me about it. When I started about 4 years ago this week at the village, one of the discussions the village board had at the time was, would that be an appropriate time to start an economic development commission? And at that time, when I was asked my opinion, I suggested to hold off. We had some gaping holes in our service model from staffing, and we were able over time to cobble together the resources to be able to self-perform some of the duties associated with economic development. And when the question came in, I thought it was a good time to at least, bring it back to committee and talk about it as a concept. The concept is, would it make sense to have a panel of 3, say to 5 subject matter experts from our community be asked as volunteers to provide advice to us as we continue to grow from an economic development standpoint. And it is a model that many communities use and use well. It's got to be done with the right group. It's got to be endorsed by this village board almost unanimously. And I think it's time to talk about it, and I'm glad to do that. And I'd be happy to answer any questions or other feedback.
I'm happy to see that on the next, or whenever, in the committee of the whole, whenever you can fit it in there.
Okay. Any concerns with that as a concept?
I think it's a great idea as well. For whatever it's worth and whatever we can find out, it would be probably good to incorporate how it did or didn't function properly in the past so that we can learn from mistakes that we, clearly made before and don't make them again.
Agreed. Thank you.
Anything else?
I just had one other question. In our weekly updates, we had something referencing that I guess Congressman Peter Roscom was in, and that we'd get updated on that. So I guess I was just curious what was said at that meeting. And the other thing I just had a question about is, I was just surprised that we weren't all invited to something like that. So I was just wondering how that worked as well.
Well, it was put on by the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
There was a limited number of people that they only had a handful of people were invited to it. But if that's something that you'd like to attend in the future, we can make sure that that's.
Well, yeah, it's
usually
I
early
just
in
saw it
the
on the
morning.
weekly updates, and so I was just curious more about it. And it said that we'd be updated at the meeting, so.
I think the point was, can we just give a quick synopsis of what occurred? I was not there. Trustee McAlpine and the mayor were there.
Yeah.
So could we just say what was said?
It's ironic because I was just talking to Trustee Kessler about it at the break. It was basically informative. He came in to kind of say what's going on in Washington and what's going on with Boehner leaving and where we're at as he tried to give his point of view as to what direction that they're going towards with, and in his view, he's a Republican, so it was about his view with regards to some of the changes that are coming down the pipe there, but he really focused, it wasn't a whole, I don't know if he got really, do you think he had in real details? I mean, it was more over an overview, but just an opening to say that he is here, he is looking to move things forward. They're looking, a lot of the questions were with regards to conservative views and how are they pushing that forward and what were they going to do. That was really, the interaction was more it was a very small venue. And some of the local business people that came out from the chamber were just asking more specific questions with regards to how they can help economically stimulate their businesses when the government is really overreaching, is kind of what I walked away from the conversation. I'm sure that the mayor can probably provide his view on it, but I felt it was kind of an overview, not real detailed.
I've gone to other meetings with him too, and he really drives home an incredible fact about the state of our Medicare program.
Yeah.
It's just overwhelming, the amount of fraud. Was it trillion?
Yes, trillion. He did
Trillions of dollars of fraud. And he brought in, as a point of reference, somebody from Visa.
Yes.
And asked about what percentage of their billing, which is in the trillions, is fraud related. And it's like less than 0.01%. And ours is just absolutely ridiculous.
Over 10%.
And it's, by eliminating that fraud alone, that's going to bridge some of the gaps. It's just, it's an interesting, when you look at things in that type of money, Rick looks at that type of money all the time. So it's just when you're, those zeros that just keep adding up, and we continuously find ourselves in the situation, living in the state of Illinois and the state of flux that we're in right now, it just really hits home that people need to be good stewards of the money, and don't just let things go by. You've got to analyze and look at things and spend wisely. But the fraud is just ridiculous. It's absolutely, it's and he's talking about the free cell phones, all these different types of things that people are getting that really don't need it.
Culture.
Yeah.
There's a lot about culture, about the culture that we're living in, and about how we're instantaneous. And if you look at I think an example he gave was that if you have a cell phone and you're thinking how technology is so great, you can go to United Airlines and book a flight, and then you can pick your seat, and then you can figure out what's going on. And if you wait for that wheels going around a little bit longer, you start going, this is a piece of crap. This is terrible. This doesn't work. And he's just getting to the point of that's where our society is and that we culturally, it makes it a little bit more challenging. And he was just trying to relate that to business development and how do we help stimulate and what should we all be doing as community leaders to help that.
Sounds like it was good.
Yeah, talked a lot about the overreach of government,
Right.
which we all know.
Maybe. We all know.
I think we witness. All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss closed session minutes for review, personnel, litigation, and real estate.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Aye. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I do not, we did do a roll call. I forgot.
Oh,
You did a roll call.
Yeah, you. Anybody.
Osler,
Stay.
Cavelli? Yes. Chapman?
Yes.
Duda?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
McAlpine?
Yes.
I will entertain a motion to approve executive session meeting minutes of September 15, 2015 village board meeting, not for release.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
McAlpine?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
Osler?
Yes.
Duda?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Cavelli? Yes.
Thank you. And I will entertain a motion to approve executive session meeting minutes for October 6, 2015, village board, not for release.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Any discussion? Does everybody know why we don't release those minutes?
Twice a year, we review the list for what should be released. We would make a recommendation and the board tells us what to release.
Okay. Roll call.
Chapman?
Yes.
Duda?
Abstain.
Cavelli? Yes. Kraus?
Yes.
Osler?
Yes.
McAlpine?
Yes.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
You want to stick around, go ahead. You'll be the last man standing. Who are you going?
Hey, you can see us on TV.
What are you going to do with all your nights?
Poker! No, we don't have
Did you tell your wife you're still doing this?
Yeah.
Honey,
I got another meeting.
Another village board meeting.